Hello, my name is Ulster, and today I bring you my profit calculation sheet for the Manos accessory market in Black Desert Online. Um, the sheet you see right here is, of course, in the video description if you want to check it out for yourself. All the values that are input into this sheet right now I have updated like half an hour before starting this recording, so they are up to date for the EU market. Just a snapshot of today, how much money is potentially in this market. Um, I will go over an explanation of this entire sheet in this video. If you want to skip that, I think I have managed to make this sheet quite self-explanatory, so you should be able to skip most of the explanation. Um, if you've seen my other videos, I usually tend to create those sheets from scratch so you can follow along. But because there's nothing really new compared to, for example, my fail stack designer, I've decided against that here. Don't have to repeat everything. Um, the only real new thing is how to get the real chances by taking the pities into account. I will go over that in more detail when we get to it. Now, before we start, how big of a market are we talking about when talking about the Manos accessory market? To keep it short, the daily, the possible daily profit volume on EU market right now is like 220 billion silver in profit, not the silver market, the silver volume, just the profit volume. How do we get those numbers? Right here, these numbers are the average items sold per day, average taken over the last 30 days on EU market. The data is from the government website from the central market tab, and then all these numbers are just multiplied with the respective profit we calculate up here. We'll get to that later. So for example, just in base Manos accessories, there's 40 billion, potentially 40 billion silver profit per day. And for example, if we look at try Manos accessories, both of these are try because you can convert try Manos to base Prion. Just in try Manos accessories, it's was it like 225 billion silver per day in potential profit. Of course, not a single person will be able to grab this entire market share, but let's say you grab 10%, which is realistic. Um, that's still 20 billion silver in profit per day for very little active time investment. And even if you count your AFK time, it can still compete with places like Sephiroth. So into the calculation and the sheet itself. The recipe. How do you create Manos accessories? You need 100 crystals, either vanadium or titanium, 5 Manos stones, you get those at any jeweler NPC in the game, scorched fragments. I think there's like 300,000 or something on EU market right now, so those are readily available. Then 10 Essence of Nature. Usually they're available on the central marketplace. If not, you can very simply create them yourself. You just have to look up the alchemy recipe for it, and then one of 4 specific powders. Down here I've created a small table that shows you what you need for what accessory. For example, the earring needs vanadium crystals and powder of earth. The belt needs titanium crystals and powder of darkness. This is put here mainly so you don't have to look up what goes into what every time you revisit Manos accessories. Now over here, let's get into now we get to the inputs. Is the marketplace tax. How much silver do you get out of selling something on the marketplace? So just tick whatever you have active. I think most people do not have the merchant ring still, so we'll leave that off for now. That of course reduces the potential to 190 billion silver per day, which is still a lot, right? Now we'll skip over this for now and go to down here. First, we're looking about producing the items that then go into, for example, the the concentrated stones, and that's where we'll start. For creating concentrated magical black gems from scratch, you will need blackstone weapons, sharp shards, black gem fragments, black gems, and concentrated magical black gems. You do upgrade black gem fragments to black gems, to concentrated magical black gems, by processing with the simple alchemy tab. So you can do 10 processes at once using the blackstone powder, but you cannot mass process, which is one of the main parts that slows you down. Over here you see how much does one concentrated magical black gem cost you if you start at this point. For example, if you start with black gem fragments, you buy the black gem fragments, you buy the blackstone weapons, the sharp shards, and you work your way up to concentrated magical black stones, then one of those final stones will cost you 12.75 million a piece. If you just pre-order the finished stones for min price on the central marketplace right now, you pay 14.3 million. Now the decision where you start depends on, of course, what is the cheapest, what is available to you, how much time do you want to spend on processing yourself. For example, the step from black gem fragments to black gems takes a while. With the enchantment tab that we have in the game right now, the processing overnight, for example, isn't as much of a problem anymore, because the items get directly put into your enhancement tab, so you do not have to deal with the weight issues, in case, of course, you have the processing outfit that allows you to process out of the marketplace. But yeah, you select whatever you have, what you decided to start with, for whatever reasons, and input the value on top of here for the concentrated magical black gems. For example, if you decide to just buy the finished stones, you put the value in here and check for yourself, is everything still profitable or not? Or is it, for example, better if you start one grade lower or even 2 grades lower? The next main item is the creation of the crystals. Here as well, you can either just buy the finished crystals on the central marketplace, or you can buy the ingots and metal solvent and create them yourself with heating. There you can mass process, so it isn't as much of an AFK time sink. You could technically start even lower, but it would make your time not worth it. So these are the only two realistic starting points you will have. Now, in order to create one vanadium crystal, you need 1 metal solvent and 1.5 vanadium ingot, of course scaled down. So over here is the summed up of, depending on your starting point, right? If you start with the ingot, the vanadium ingot, then the 100 vanadium crystals you need for one accessory will cost you 68 million silver. If you just buy the vanadium crystals directly from the central marketplace, it will cost you 95 million silver. Titanium, of course, the same principle. Now you can go up here and there's a drop down menu. I think you do not see that on the screen right now, but you can choose between ingot, crystal, or cheapest, and so select whatever you chose to do. The decision what to do can, of course, have different reasons. For example, you have what is the cheapest, what is available to you in the quantities you need. So for example, you say there's no crystals available because someone else is doing Manos accessories as well. So you just buy the vanadium ingots, buy the metal solvent, and mass process to get the vanadium crystals, right? So choose whatever is your input in here. Then you have the rest of the items. You have Mana Stone is a fixed price because it's an NPC item. The Scorched Fragments, there's so many on the marketplace, I think like 300,000. Not sure if I said that already, but you should be able to just buy them at min price. Then Essence of Nature, you can change the price right here. For example, if you create it on your own, but the percentage of the cost that comes from Essence of Nature to one finished Manos accessory is just so low. It doesn't really matter. You could even buy that for what, 800,000 a piece or something. Doesn't matter too much. That is the production tab, and all of this goes into the calculation input. As we already discussed, you type the price for your magical black gem in here. You select your starting point for vanadium and titanium crystals, and that calculates the cost of producing one Manos accessory: the ring, the earring, the necklace, the belt. Now there can be situations where there are a lot of base Manos accessories on the central marketplace for not that much more expensive than creating them yourself. So, for example, in order to save time, you just buy the base ones on the marketplace and upgrade those. Then you can use the override cells here and just type the price you buy them for in here, and it will use those values. For example, let's say the necklace is available for 100 million silver, but the belt is not. Then now it will take into the profit calculation the override value of the necklace, but the self production value of the belt, right? If you want to use the values on the left, then just delete the value from the override cell and it will use those values. Now, that is the inputs into the calculation. Now for the calculation itself, we're in this cell right now. I have put most of the values that would be interesting for you over here, so you can follow along if you're interested in that. For example, for upgrade from base to pry, you need 10 stones. The chance is 76.19%. We will get to the chance in a second, because in-game it says 75%. That means, on average, you need 1.3 base items until you get one Pry Manos accessory and 13.1 stones. These numbers, the items and the stones, I put here just for estimation purposes. For example, you say, oh, I want to create 10 Pry Manos accessories. So on average, I should need 13 base accessories and 130 concentrated magical black gems. Or you go the other way around and you say, oh, I have 1,000 concentrated magical black stones. Roughly how many Manos accessories do I have to create if I go up to Duo? So I take the 51 here, divide the 1,000 by 51 and see it's roughly 20. Then I know I need 20 times the amount. So let's say I create 60 base Manos accessories. Then I know in the end I should have roughly, on average, 20 Duo Manos accessories. That's why the items and stone values are put here. Then over here it calculates the average cost of producing this item once. For example, let's go with a Tri Manos earring. Costs roughly 3.4 billion silver on average with current prices. Yeah, let's go to the profit section first. Now these values are then used in the profit calculation. In the yellow sections, you type in the sell price on the central marketplace. Just a quick tip, because the daily sold volume is relatively low, right? You will probably go to min price and sell for that if there's any competition at all, because you want to make sure to get the majority of sales that day. right? It will of course reduce the price rather fast, but from my experience, most people are not that consistent in competing with you. They feel like it gets tedious after a while, so they stop competing in that market, and then it gets more profitable again. Now, you type in the sell prices, and then it calculates the profit. The way it does that is it just multiplies the sell price with the marketplace tax and subtracts the average cost of producing that item. Then I have put some more stats in here, the return on invest, which is how much more silver on average do you get out of selling that item compared to the amount you put in. So for example, for a Duo Manos ring, you on average get an additional 44% silver out of it compared to what you put into it. Then you have the per stone and per accessory values, which is how much profit is it per concentrated magical black gems you have to invest, and per accessory you have to invest. That can be relevant if there's a shortage of whatever. For example, there's no vanadium crystal or vanadium at all in the central marketplace, so you want to optimize for the amount of accessories. So in that case, you would you would prefer the Duo Manos accessories. If, for example, there's a shortage of sharp shards, and you want to that's why you have not that many concentrated magical black gems, so you want to optimize for the amount of stones, then you will see where the per stone is the highest. If none of these are are the case, and it's just you have all the resources available to you, then you can focus on the return on investment value. So Pry accessories are probably the best right now. The Duo earring is probably the best. But when doing that, keep in mind that Duo and Pry are roughly equal in the amount that are sold every day. So this one just has an absolute profit of roughly 200 million apiece, and this one has 400 million apiece. So even if the ROI is smaller, because it sells faster, or if it sells equally fast but the profit per item is higher on the Duo one, I would focus on that. In the end, of course, if you really go all in, you want to have items in all of these markets at in all in all of these markets. So all of these, all of these, all of these, all of these at every single point in time. That's just one tip from me. Don't invest too much into every single item at one point. For example, you have 5 try accessories or maybe 2 try accessories per piece, 2 prions, 10 duo, 20 prize, 50 base. Base doesn't matter too much, for example. I wouldn't go higher than that because every now and then, like Desert has an event or whatever, which changes the prices by a lot, and you don't want to be too heavily invested and then have to sell for a just lower price. So in the end, you might even lose money, or you have to wait until prices go up again, which can take a while, and then you just have your money invested into items you don't need and can't sell at that moment. That's the how to work with this sheet. Now I want to talk about the how to get these chances right here, because in game it says 75%, 45%, 30, 15, 5%, right? But how do we get these numbers? And that's how to take pity into account. In case you have seen my other videos on calculating enhancements in Black Desert Online, you might recognize this this format. It's basically the pity is 2 for Primanos accessory, so we have 2 clicks, and on the first click I have a 75% success chance and a 25% fail chance. On the second click, the same thing again. So I can multiply those two 25% chances with each other, and I get a 6.25% chance if I start from the beginning to get a pity. That means if I from the beginning start 16 times, which is 1 divided by 6.25%, then that's on average every 16 start from the beginning, I will have gotten one upgrade through the pity. Of course, because I can fail the first click, I can fail the second click. I have more clicks, so more base items invested because some get destroyed. Then I have upgrades, of course, right? You see, at the first position, I always click that. I start 16 times, so I click the first position 16 times. In 25% of the cases, I fail the first one, go to the second click. So the second position, I will only click 4 times. And of those 4 times, 1 will fail, and that's how I get the pity. I hope that's understandable so far. Now, because I have started 16 times, I will have gotten 16 upgrades. In 15 cases, I will have gotten the upgrade at either of these two positions, and the 16th one, I will have reached the pity, which will automatically have given me the upgrade. I still need to click, right? So the clicks are just, I click 20 times, but I have to additionally click the pity, so +1, so I get the 21 clicks and 16 upgrades. And if we divide these 16 upgrades by 21 clicks, that's how we get the 76.19% chance as the real upgrade chance. Which is, if you do Manos accessory enhancing with any semblance of real wanting to make money with that, then you will run into pity quite often. So this difference in chance actually matters. Now, I don't want to do that for all the other chances, so let's look at how we can have a nicer looking formula with that. Now the real chance is, as I said before, Rn, which is the number of reruns depending on the pity, and Cn, which is the number of clicks, right? So Cn here for the first one would be 21, and reruns would be 16. Now, just a quick point in the beginning, we have P equals 1 minus Q. Because we're looking at this from the fail chance, we want to have the how often do we have to fail in a row. So if you had possibly in school something with chances, then P is the percentage, right? And Q is the reverse of that. So in our use case, P is the 25% and Q is the 75%, which is 1 minus P. Yes. Now the number of reruns. The formula for that, as we had here, is or let me do it. Yeah, no, that's fine. We have the 25%, and to get the 6.25%, we have to do 25% times 25%, and we have to do that as often as is the pity. In this case, 2, but if the pity was 4, we would have to do 25% times 25% times 25% times 25%. You can also write that at P, which is the percentage, to the power of n, which in this case here is 2, but in the other example would be 4. And to get the number of reruns, we have to have 1 divided by P to the power of n. So that's how we get this formula right here. Now, for the next part, we will look at finite geometric series. I have linked a video right here if you want to follow along in more detail. That's where you should probably go. Now, the first formula, Sn, where does this come from? Now, if I go to the first position, I will click that once, right? And of this one click on 75% of the chance, I will succeed, end the run. On 25% chance, 25% of the clicks, I will go to the second click and click that. So the second one is 0.25. I do click that amount. Then again, of those 25%, 75% I will succeed and cancel the run. I get my upgrade. On 25% of that 25%, I will fail once more, and that's the click into the pity, which is then 100% and will always end the run. So the second one is 0.25 to the power of 2, which is then the 0.06%. Now, if we sum that up, we got 1.3125 something, which is the average amount of clicks in my entire series, right? Until I hit the end. But that means I will hit the third position 6% of the time. In order to get it to, on average, I get that once, I have to multiply everything by 16, which is 1 divided by p to the power of n. So if I divide this by this value right here, then I get the 21, which we wanted to have. So if we look at this right here, and as I said, you can follow along in the video I linked right here. That's how we get the 1 plus p, which in our case is the 25%, p to the power of 2, which is the 0.0625. And the series for the first one ends there. Now, if you want to have a formula, we have to, and not work through every specific example by ourselves. We will now, for this infinite series, we will multiply both sides with p. That means 1 times p is p, p times p is p to the power of 2, and so on. So the last value we have here is p to the power of n plus 1. Now, we will subtract the second term from the first one, and that means, because we have p minus p, p to the power of 2 minus p to the power of 2, most of this cancels each other out. So what we get is Sn minus p Sn equals 1 minus p to the power of n plus 1. Now we can move the left side around a bit and divide by 1 minus p, and that's how we get Sn equals 1 minus p to the power of n plus 1 divided by 1 minus p, which is the same as the 1.3125 we have calculated over here. You can try that out for yourself if you don't believe me, but that is true. Now, we still need to convert the 1.31 to the 21, so we have to multiply by 16 in this example, but to keep it more broad, we have to multiply by the number of reruns, which is again 1 divided by p to the power of n. Now, if we do that, then we get Cn, which is the number of clicks depending on n and, of course, p, which is this formula right here. Now, to get the real chance, we will just put Rn and Cn into the formula for the real chance, which we have showcased right here that it is the correct formula, right? Yada, yada, yada. We will come out to 1 minus p divided by 1 minus p to the power of n plus 1. Now, because p is the fail chance, but the game gives us the success chance, we want to convert p to q. So we will put in p equals 1 minus q. And that gives us q divided by 1 minus, in brackets, 1 minus q to the power of 1 plus n plus 1, which is this formula over here. And with that, we can calculate all the real chances for all the different grades. So then we take these chances and apply them here, and this is what we actually want to calculate with. If you're interested in seeing how using the in-game chances of 75%, 45%, etc., just change the values over here, and that way you can check that out. Yeah, I think I covered this entire sheet. If you have questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will try to answer them if possible, and enjoy.